Hello and welcome. Thank you for tuning in with Charles and Kelly. We're your hosts of Anchor Leads, and we're the CEO and co of Anchor in Leadership, and our nonprofit is Aim for Unity. Thank you for listening to us wherever you are and however you're listening to us on 106.1 ESPN Richmond and 105.3 Choice FM.
Yes, welcome. Hey, how are you?
I'm good. You looking good, honey?
You looking good too. I saw you like 4 hours ago.
Yeah, I know. 4 hours ago. That's right.
So hi. So welcome to ESPN Richmond 106.1 and The Choice. That's where you can hear us, catch us, and also connect with us. Reach out to us on Instagram or LinkedIn on anchorin.co. And just connect. We want to hear from you all. Yeah. So today we're going to bring to you a dynamic conversation. So we have a couple of tidbits regarding culture, communication, also leadership. Yeah. So we're going to talk about that. So culture. Everything that's been going on the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, no, lots been going on. I mean, first, number one, you were traveling, so I was stuck in the house by myself trying to think of work and blah blah blah. So that was very interesting, being alone and afraid. But
I left him home by himself for 5 days. Okay, 5 days.
But I went to 5 days means the ultimate man diet. So that means less cooking. I clean up once you come home. Once I know you're gonna have to come home, no, just joking. But seriously. That's how we do. But please, before we dive in, what was Chicago like?
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. It was amazing. So I attended the Hispanic Alliance organizational 40th anniversary out in Chicago. It was a conference that I didn't know I needed, but I needed it. And there was just swarms and swarms of Hispanic people from all 27 countries, all professionals, all entrepreneurs. I mean, there was a little bit of everything. So that's why I'm using the word all, because it was just encompassing. I needed it. As many of you probably have heard, Charles is active duty military, so we move a lot. And it's something that we talk about. There's always like a little disconnect when it comes to my culture, my Hispanic culture, my Latino culture, and we constantly moving. So once we arrive, we always have to reconnect and find that space. So when I was out there in Chicago, it was just a little bit of everything. Had some conversations with people from Merck and Johnson & Johnson and AT&T, and all these were women and men that are in the senior roles, holding senior roles, SVPs, CEOs. It was just an amazing conversation. Shout out to Patricia and Olga that are leading that organization. And it was great. And to top it off, I was out there with our daughter.
Yeah.
And she's a young adult. Yeah. So he was really alone. Yeah. So it was, to top it off, it was an amazing experience. She also is part of the Anchor In team, and she made connections as well, and also served as a point of contact, in the tech space for Anchor In. And it was a great experience. It was a great experience to speak my native tongue. It was a great experience to connect with other Latinas. It was really nice. I really missed it. We're able to speak a little Spanglish, a little professional Spanglish, and we went over to just straight Spanish, came back, and just having that type of dialogue and that comfortability.
Yeah, so
it was awesome. Yeah,
that's good. So that actually ties in, I think, right, to what we're really who we are and how we engage our clients, how we engage you is really today is about culture, right? You went last week and you traveled and you pulled a lot of culture and you were around dynamic cultures. So again, just addressing from a standpoint today of where we're going to is that number one, there are, again, many books, a lot of podcasts, a lot of stuff, right? That has to deal with leadership, that has to deal with culture. But I think for us, what we want to do is to basically have you guys lean in and lean in with us as we explore kind of this tactic that effective leaders do when it
Mm,
comes to culture. And these tactics, this tactic that we want to give is designed to make us aware of who
mm,
we are,
mhm,
give you, the listener, and then give you greater insights of where you need to be and how you can lean into greater wisdom when it comes to culture. Um, so yeah, so we have this kind of philosophy, we have this leadership culture, right? And I think what you hit on was so key is that you are around
mhm.
people, that you are around a lot of different Hispanic cultures from 27, that's what you said,
Yeah, it's
from
27
27.
countries. Yeah.
So you learned a lot about yourself.
Mm,
You learn about a lot about how people address different things and different problem sets.
mm,
So what I want to, I think what we want to really dive into is how do we define culture? And really culture from our standpoint is what produced you. So when you look at culture and you look at what produced you, where who were your parents? Who are
mhm.
you?
Yeah.
Where did you live? What type of habits did you grow up?
Yep.
What was encouraged? What was not encouraged? What is your religious orientation? Are you Christian? Are you Muslim? Are you atheist? Who are you? And all of these different things really make up who you are. And that's the culture that created you. And that's the culture um, that you bring in to
Mhm.
wherever you are.
That's a good point, bringing in that culture, because just being out at the conference. So the ASE organization is in the Hispanic Alliance of Career
Mhm.
Advancement. I went there as, filling the role as an executive coach. So I provided one-on-one coaching
Yeah.
with professionals in the tech space, also in HR compliance space. And a lot, not in the sense of what they face,
Mhm.
is also bringing their culture to the workplace. What does it look like, to be a Latina in the workplace, in a board meeting, and using your hands, talking with your hands, just like I'm doing right now? How you become authentic with that? How you
Yeah.
in turn show up as your full self? I also provided the same coaching to a gentleman who's in the tech space. He
Mhm.
bought his tech acumen and education from Mexico here to the United States, working with a very prominent
Mm.
organization. So how does he in turn carry that culture, how he worked, the commitment of working there and embedding it in this culture? So that's a dynamic
So I
when you
think,
talk about, how you grow up and what you bring and what you carry, and yeah, so
yeah,
all
and
that good
and
stuff.
it makes me. I'm actually thinking about a couple of things, but since we're in the basketball season, right, and playoffs is going on, all this stuff is going on,
And
right,
this
and
is ESPN Radio 106.1.
that's right. So and then also Choice FM Radio, right, 105.6. So as we look and I'm thinking about culture, I can't help but my mind goes to where we are and with basketball going on right
Yes.
now. We're in the second round, but let's look at culture, right? Let's, for example, the Brooklyn Nets. Well, number one, we're both from New York. I can't say I'm a Nets fan because they were once upon a time in New Jersey, but they're in the New York area, right? But you look at that culture versus a culture, let's say, that is a winning culture in Golden State, right? You
Yeah.
have a Steph Curry where people want to go play with him and want to get into that culture.
Yeah.
And you have this kind of messy Brooklyn Nets culture that you can't make who's in charge, who's leading, who's coaching.
For me, I can't make sense of it. I can't
so
make sense of it.
so just to give a picture, right,
Mhm.
of culture and what we bring, and whatever you bring
Yeah.
into your culture, it's going to attract people or turn people away. And the biggest thing for us is when we lean into what produces us.
Mhm.
um what schools did you go to? Who are your friends? Who are your dad? And that kind of stuff that
Yeah.
produce you. So
And
um
what's your mindset?
yeah, what's your
What
mindset?
is your mindset? Are you going to switch it up? Are you going to switch
But
your
how though?
mindset?
How do you switch that up?
That requires
Right?
discipline. That requires discipline. Because who's the main player in the Nets? Because you need to like throw a lifeline,
Well, yeah, of
over
course,
here.
people were going there because of KD,
Okay.
right? And then you have Kyrie as well, Irving.
Okay.
and people were loading up to go there.
Mm,
Mm,
yeah.
But
So
now
they're
this is
going,
just,
yeah,
yeah.
they're going there. Now they all in a messy predicament.
Mhm.
So from, from that space is that mindset. What's Kyrie's mindset? What's
We don't
KD's
want to
mindset?
talk about that
You know,
mindset.
exactly.
We
But
don't want to talk.
it's a
But
messy mindset.
you can
Because
kind,
if you're focused and you are tunnel vision and you know where you're heading, you have another type of culture, like you just said.
yeah,
Steph Curry's culture is a winning culture. Like we come in
yeah,
to win. Like last night, that was crazy.
yeah. It
One
was.
1 minute. And you know what that says? That says culture and experience. 1 point. Culture and experience. That winning mindset does not give up. What do I say? Until the fat lady don't sing.
Yeah,
Until those
but
two double zeros are not on there, there's no celebrating.
that's true. But how
So
do you get there, right? And I think it's
yeah.
mindset. And then also you have to really lean into how do you develop that mindset? What was modeled in front of you to number one? So really, when we look at this wonderful thing called culture, right? We got it. You have to have that mindset. We're
Yes.
raised to however our upbringing, which I think is really important because when you look at, let's say somebody's dad who is a blue collar worker, or somebody's dad who's not a blue collar, for instance, my dad grew up, he was a Vietnam guy, came back and he worked on cars. So what was that? Was he absent? Was he present? What stuff did I pick up? But the first tactic that a leader understands is not only leaning into what they was exposed to, but also exposing themselves to other cultures not like themselves.
Okay, say that again, because that's anchor in leads tactic number one. So that's how you show up as a leader in this diverse space.
Yeah,
You show up.
You have to be able to not only know your culture, the culture that produced you, but be able to lean into other cultures and embrace other cultures that's not like yourself.
That's right. That's right. I like that.
There's keys in that. There's keys because you become a well-rounded leader. You're able to see things outside of your own comfort zone, so to speak, right? So you have to be able to lean into that, to grow into that, and really look at and learn from other cultures, because that makes you learn how to deal with people. That makes you grow as a leader, as far as, okay, if I have challenging situations, I might bring my culture and my way of thinking, but how I translate certain things may not be how they received on the other end.
Yeah, I got
So
it. Yeah.
there are different ways though you can go about doing that.
Yeah, I like that. And I like that point. And to be able to immerse yourself, or, as a leader in someone else's culture, doesn't necessarily mean, or take it out of context, that you're going to abandon your culture. What it means is that you're going to, let's talk about that EQ. You're going to be able to empathize with that other person, know about, what holidays they observe, what do they need as your employee or as a colleague, where, today, actually today's May 2nd, but this is Asian American and also Pacific Islander month. And what are you doing in your organization? So that's the question. What are you doing in your organization to authentically support your Asian community, your Asian employees, your Asian colleagues, and Pacific Islanders? What are you doing intentionally? It's not going to dwindle down by the end of the year, but what are you going to do consistently? So as we talk about that, then those are the questions that as leaders is like, what am I doing? That self-check.
Yeah.
So.
And I think the first thing to answer what you said is, number one, like when we want to experience other cultures and submerge other cultures other than the one that we know, that's not our own, we have to be willing to step out, right?
Yeah.
And the first way we can step out is just simply befriending other people that's not like you.
That's right.
Befriending other people within your community. Maybe at your local church, or a sport, at work, or at events. If you have children, there are a lot of people at sporting events with your children, or whatever the case may be, that you can actually lean into and start leaning into other cultures that's not like you at those events.
So, for all of you listening, we're on ESPN Richmond 106.1, and also you can hear us on The Choice. And today we're talking about culture. We're talking about culture at this moment, and why culture. So, like Charles just finished highlighting those important factors. of how we in turn immerse ourselves in someone else's culture. And as a leader, we urge you to think in terms of culture.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
what you want to do is in the sense of examining culture. What does that even look like? How do I examine where I stand as a diverse leader? How do I do that? What are some tactics you can give me that I can be able to then in turn assess myself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we said, the first thing, number one, is that you have to be willing to go outside of your culture and, well, number one, examine what produced you, know what produced you, because that's the ground, that's the soil that actually lend to the culture that you bring
Yeah.
into the workforce. And I think that's key,
Yeah.
because who you are, what produced you, you bring with you wherever you go.
Yeah.
But the key is that you don't want to stay there. You understand that your culture not only contributes to you, but you're not limited by it.
That's right.
So since you're not limited by it, it enables you to lay the ground to learn other cultures, that's not like you.
Yeah.
So you befriend people, right? The
You
second
grow
thing
in
is
it.
you grow in it.
Right.
The second thing is travel.
And
Travel.
and necessarily it doesn't have to be even on a plane, actually. You could just
Yeah.
go down the street.
And I think that's something that we
yeah.
have leaned into directly or
Yeah.
indirectly. What I mean by that is because, as you know, well, as you may not know, we're in the military, and literally every 3 years we are moving.
Yes.
We are uprooting one location and then we're moving into another, right? So we've been at different places, seen different people, and then been involved in integrating in different cultures. And I can tell you just from our experiences that number one, the more you move, uproot and go into someone else, it's not your own. We're the outsiders.
That's right.
So we've developed a battle rhythm to integrate ourselves, yes, into the culture of the community on ground. We get integrated into the community by giving, learning about the community, what the organizations are, getting plugged up into chambers of commerce, learning what the heartbeat of that community is, and really just diving in. So when we say travel, we travel, but I think it's traveling with a purpose, right? So you're traveling to understand more about yourself, and how you do that is integrating with the community and the culture on ground.
Yeah, I like that. And as you shared, I was thinking about, also like getting immersed in your own culture to be able to know, what's going on in the city, where can you contribute, where can you serve, like you just said, and also how can you serve in someone else's, how can you bring other people along, invite other people, and then like that, you'll be able to then learn a little more about what's going on in your community. And that's something that we share. You can travel, of course, you can jump on a plane, catch a ticket, and go to the other side of the world. However, right down the street, you have people that are different from you, right at your workplace and school. So to be able to be comfortable with one's culture and also receive other people's culture and where people are at in their own space, there is, we need to add that component of communicating that and building that top points of how do I connect and communicate where I'm at, what I'm willing to learn, what I'm not willing to learn. How do I communicate where I'm at in the workplace, what I need as an employee. Right now, we're seeing, we speak about the Great Resignation, but also just like we're talking about Chicago, Olga, she's the board chair of the ASE organization. She also made a good point that it's time for great communication. Yeah. Like how do we do that? How do we build on that and start those conversations that will shift the workplace? That's good. There's a lot that goes into that. Again, you're listening to us. Yes. Charles and Kelly, we're your hosts. You're listening to us. This is Anchor Leads, ESPN Richmond 106.1 and also Choice 105.3. Yes. Again, man, great stuff. But that communication, I think from our experience and from our clients, we know communication starts at the top. So if you're a leader, we're about to have church. Can you say that again? It starts at the top. So if you're a leader, you can't look to pass the buck to communication
to someone else. You cannot do it.
Yeah.
Communication is simple. It starts with you as a leader.
Yep.
It's your responsibility to make sure that the art and the science and the right things get done, and that starts at the top.
Yes.
And I think that is the number one problem
Mhm.
that sometimes we run into
Yes.
is that communication piece. But
So
I think as we wrap up, we want to really just leave you with this thought is that we urge you to, as a leader, to think in terms of culture and think how you communicate your culture across the board.
that's right.
You want to examine the culture that made you, you want to grow in it, and you want to polish it out. And then you want to establish a new culture that will change the world by serving it.
That's right. So thank you for listening to us. You were listening to Charles and Kelly on Anchor Leads, ESPN Richmond 106.1 and Choice at 105.3. Again, connect with us. Send us an email at Kelly or CT Davis at anchorin.co. So let me clarify that for you. So that's Kelly at anchorin.co or CT Davis at anchorin.co, or you can catch us on all social media outlets. Again, thank
Yeah.
you for connecting with us. Thank you for just tuning into Anchor Leads, and we're leaving and also checking out the flavor of culture and leadership.
That's
So,
right. And we're the Bonnie and Clyde to get you to where
So
you
you
need
wanna
to
be-
want to be in leadership.
That's
Check
right.
us out. We'll see you next week when we continue talking about communication.
All right.
Peace and hair grease.
Bye.